expected, Jaquan was entertaining other women in jail, and it became common knowledge that he had multiple visitors while in custody. He couldn't keep it in his pants, even
What? He was sleeping with a lot of people in jail? Twin, that is crazy.
behind bars. He couldn't be faithful.
Twin, the world is freaking crazy. It's nuts. And the craziest thing about living in this world is being able to fall in love with someone and being able to give your all to that person, and that person turn around and take you out and take you from this earth and take you away from your family. And that's the video that I got for you guys today. So let's jump into this video and let's just react to it.
You ready, babe?
In 2025, a 31-year-old woman pleaded for her boyfriend's release after he was arrested for stealing a car. Despite their history of abuse, she asked the court to let him go, believing in his change, hoping for peace. Unbeknownst to her, this would be a terrifying mistake, because not long after her boyfriend was set free, that same woman, Brianna Howell, would be found dead, shot in the chest.
Oh, wow.
On March 18, 2025, at around 7:26 a.m., Brianna's lifeless body was discovered on the sidewalk at the Willows Apartments on the 400 block of Clark Road, killed by the very man she had pleaded for. But it wasn't just the murder that stunned investigators. It was what they found next, something far more shocking than anyone expected. This is the life and death of Brianna Howell.
Yeah.
31-year-old Brianna Howell was born in 1994 in Gary, Indiana. From an early age, she stood out for her fierce independence and bold spirit. A natural go-getter, Brianna was hardworking, vibrant, and unafraid to chase her passions, especially her love for fashion and makeup. She had a creative flair that showed in the way she carried herself and in the way she lit up her room with her style and confidence. Friends and family described Brianna as fun-loving, full of energy, and endlessly loyal. Her warm smile and fearless attitude made her magnetic. She was deeply devoted to her loved ones and held in high regard within her community. Whether cracking jokes, offering support, or lighting up someone's day, Brianna had a way of making her presence unforgettable. She lived out loud, loved hard, and spoke her mind without hesitation. She had heart, she had hustle, and on certain days, as her friends would laughingly say, she had hands.
Look at him, King. He gonna break my back. Come on. Hey.
Watch the TV.
Brianna was a protector, a straight shooter, and someone you could count on in a heartbeat. Her social media was a reflection of her colorful personality. She shared videos of herself dancing, laughing, and embracing life with a joy that was contagious. Through every post and interaction, Brianna loved being herself and encouraged others to do the same.
And that's something that you always see with videos like this. The young lady loved living life, and somebody take them away from this earth, this world, and that's their family, because they're happy. And because they're happy, the guy or the person who takes them from this earth, they got so many demons. Something's always wrong with them. Something is always mentally wrong with them, because somebody is smiling, dancing, and being happy just irks them and make them want to delete that person just for just being happy and being alive. But yeah, you always see that, and it's always the same type of profile of somebody just happy, living life, loving life, and they just take them away from the world for no reason.
Those closest to her remember her as a woman who walked through the world with both fire and grace, unapologetically real and endlessly inspiring. That same irresistible charm would lead her to start dating a man who would set off a chain of events that no one could have imagined. In 2022, Brianna crossed paths with 24-year-old Jaquan Washington, a young man who at first glance seemed to understand her world in ways others didn't. Their early conversations went beyond surface-level banter. They opened up about personal goals, family struggles, and their views on love and loyalty. Jaquan came across as charming, street-smart, and deeply attentive, qualities that quickly caught Brianna's interest. They shared a fast-paced lifestyle, both drawn to the thrill of parties and the chaos that often came with living on the edge. For Brianna, the attention Jaquan gave her felt validating. He didn't judge her for her past or her hustle. Instead, he embraced it, offering companionship that felt familiar, even safe. Together, they seemed to fuel each other's wild energy, amplifying both the highs and the recklessness that came with their shared lifestyle. As their connection deepened, what started as casual companionship soon became official. Brianna believed she may have finally found someone who matched her energy, her ambition, and her understanding of life on the streets. But what felt like alignment would soon reveal darker truths beneath the surface. From the moment Brianna and Jaquan started dating, it was clear their relationship was far from perfect. Beneath Jaquan's charm lay a darker, more volatile side that Brianna naively believed she could manage. He was young, reckless, and well acquainted with life in jail. It wasn't just a place he'd been. It had become a second home. With little family guidance or structure growing up, Jaquan had learned to survive on his own terms, often through chaos. Still, Brianna held on to hope. She thought she could be the one to help him, to love him back to stability. She believed that if she stood by him, her loyalty might soften his edges, that her love could fix what the streets had broken. But in trying to save him, she didn't realize how much of herself she was losing. As time went on, the cracks in Brianna and Jaquan's relationship became impossible to ignore. Jaquan had allegedly been cheating on Brianna, and their once passionate connection was facing constant arguments and fights. On some occasions, Jaquan had resorted to putting his hands on Brianna, but she was no stranger to confrontation. She wasn't one to back down, even when the situation became dangerous. Each altercation left her bruised, both physically and emotionally, but Brianna convinced herself that if they could just get through it, things would improve. Yet, deep down, she knew the person she once thought she could trust was becoming someone unrecognizable. By 2023, Jaquan was back behind bars, this time arrested for stealing a car. Despite the setback, Brianna stood by him like the ride or die she believed herself to be. She visited him regularly, held him down emotionally, and proudly posted about him on social media with captions like, "Free my man." This was her public declaration of loyalty, proof that she was solid no matter the circumstances.
That whole free my XYZ sometimes gets to me, because if the person did the crime, let them rot in jail. And now if they wrong place, wrong time, and there's actually evidence of that person being innocent, then yeah, throw up that free XYZ. But when they did the crime, let the rest of us, have peace of mind and let us go to sleep, knowing that none of our belongings, none of our stuff is going to be stolen at night. But free whatever, no, that person is supposed to be in jail or prison because they did whatever they did and they need to be off the street.
While Brianna held him down on the outside, Jaquan was busy building connections on the inside, but not the kind she expected. Jaquan was entertaining other women in jail, and it became common knowledge that he had multiple visitors while in custody. He couldn't keep it in his pants, even behind bars. He couldn't be faithful. For Brianna, who had given her loyalty without question, the betrayal cut deep. It wasn't just about infidelity.
How was he getting conjugal visits, or was he really like down low? Probably down low, because I honestly believe that these men that go back to prison, go back to jail. They love that lifestyle. They love being around men. There's no way. There's no way. The world is too big, and there's so much other stuff to see besides just being in jail, thinking about the outside. So I think he probably did have somebody on the inside, and now he's in prison probably for the rest of his life. He probably got a boot in there.
It was the public humiliation, the realization that the man she defended had played her. That moment of clarity changed everything. The heartbreak gave way to built-up anger. Brianna, always known for her fierce spirit and self-respect, began to see Jaquan for who he truly was. Not a misunderstood partner, but a man who used charm to manipulate and loyalty to control. It didn't take long for Brianna to realize she had made a mistake by getting involved with him. So she made a decision. By the time Jaquan was preparing for release, the relationship between him and Brianna already over.
Oh.
She had called it quits, as expected, but the breakup didn't sit well with him. In fact, it seemed to ignite something darker. While Brianna had made peace with the decision and moved on, Jaquan took it as a personal insult. She no longer wanted the chaos, the disrespect, or the kind of love that came with bruises and betrayal. It didn't take long for Brianna to find comfort in a new man, someone who treated her with the care and appreciation she had longed for. Their relationship was open and affectionate. He posted her proudly, supported her openly, and made her feel safe. But as Brianna tried to turn the page, Jaquan refused to let her go in peace. Instead of moving on, he made it his mission to disrupt her new life, becoming a looming shadow over her happiness. The two went from ex-lovers to enemies almost overnight. What was once passion quickly turned into pettiness, and their old connection soured into something volatile. They would frequently get into arguments that erupted both online and in person. Anywhere their paths crossed, shady posts, cryptic captions, and public jabs that became their new form of communication. Despite having a new man who brought her peace and stability, Brianna still found herself tangled in the chaos Jaquan refused to release. The bond they once shared had curdled into resentment, and Jaquan kept the fire burning with every insult and provocation. Their history was heavy, filled with love, betrayal, and pain, and it clung to them like smoke. Brianna tried to rise above it, but Jaquan made sure the storm always followed her. Nothing could prepare Brianna for what was coming. On March 18, 2025 at 7:26 a.m., police in Gary, Indiana responded to a 911 call at the Willows Apartments on the 400 block of Clark Road. What they discovered was heartbreaking. Lying face up on the sidewalk was 31-year-old Brianna Howell. First responders rushed to check for a pulse, but as they examined her more closely, they saw she had been shot in the chest. Her body also showed signs of strangulation, and there were visible scratches on her neck, clear evidence of a struggle before the fatal shot was fired. Despite their efforts to save her, Brianna was pronounced dead at the scene. During the investigation, the Lake County coroner officially ruled Brianna's death a homicide, citing the gunshot wound to her chest as the cause. But while that confirmed the nature of her death, a far more pressing question remained. Who pulled the trigger, and why? What could have led someone to take Brianna's life in such a brutal and public way? With Brianna Howell's body identified and her cause of death confirmed, the homicide investigation moved quickly. Detective Brian McCall of the Lake County Prosecutor's Homicide Task Force took the lead, fully aware that in cases like this, time was critical. The sooner they acted, the better the chances of catching the person responsible. Investigators immediately began canvassing the area, interviewing anyone who had been near the scene at the time of the shooting. However, it didn't take long before a familiar name surfaced: Brianna's ex-boyfriend, 24-year-old Jaquan Washington. Witnesses told detectives that Jaquan had been staying at the Willow Apartments that night, placing him alarmingly close to where Brianna's body was discovered. As more details emerged, Jaquan quickly became a primary suspect. Multiple witnesses spoke of the tumultuous nature of their past, frequent arguments, public confrontations, and a pattern of emotional volatility. On March 17th, the night before the murder, Brianna had attended a casual gathering at the complex. A relative had dropped her off between 4 and 5 p.m. for a cookout, hosted by Jaquan and his family. What Brianna didn't know was that what was supposed to be a simple visit would mark the beginning of her final hours. Though their past was messy and their relationship long over, Brianna still agreed to attend the small gathering at Jaquan Washington's apartment. It was meant to be a casual night, a family barbecue, familiar faces, light conversation. But behind the smoke and laughter, there was tension thick enough to cut. With Jaquan present, old wounds were reopened, and it also carried unresolved anger. As the evening wore on and night settled in, that tension began to boil over. Witnesses later told investigators that an argument between Brianna and Jaquan erupted during the gathering. No one could say exactly what triggered it, but everyone knew it wasn't going to end well. Those who were there recalled seeing the two slapping, biting, and cursing at each other in full view. The heated exchange shocked some, while others admitted they were used to the pair's volatile dynamic. Still, no one stepped in. Eventually, the chaos spilled from the porch into the living room. According to court records and witness accounts, the fight moved to the couch, where Jaquan was seen putting hands around Brianna's neck. He allegedly choked her in plain sight.
If people are actually watching them two fight at a gathering, that says a lot about the company and the people that you are around. If you're openly watching a female get choked out and you do nothing, we live in a society where we all know that is wrong, and they allow a violent person just to stay there. He could have went to jail that night, and we already know that the system allow these men and women who are prone to being violent person and probably hurt somebody via domestic violence get out of jail, and something always happened. However, he could have went to jail that night and somebody could have talked to her and said, hey, you got to leave. You got to hide for a little while because this is a dangerous person. But they just allowed that to happen. That's crazy. That's so weird.
Moments after the heated confrontation, a single gunshot was heard in the apartment. Witnesses recalled a haunting silence that followed, then the sight of Brianna collapsing to the floor. Jaquan had shot Brianna once in the chest. As she lay there, bleeding, he stood over her and muttered something chilling. He said, "Why did you make me do that?" Panic swept through the apartment. What had been a small family gathering instantly spiraled into chaos. But instead of calling 911 or attempting to help her, Jaquan and his older brother decided to plot a cover-up. As Detective Brian McCall and his team tried to piece together the events, they found one key piece of evidence. It was surveillance footage retrieved from the apartment complex. The video captured two men, later believed to be Jaquan and 33-year-old brother Christian Washington, carrying what appeared to be a heavy object down the hallway. Authorities now believe that the object was Brianna's body. Struggling under its weight, they eventually left her outside on the sidewalk before disappearing into the night. Brianna Howell, just 31 years old, was left abandoned in the shadows of the same complex where she had spent her final hours, discarded and alone. It wasn't until morning that someone passing by noticed her body and called 911. It became painfully clear from the surveillance footage that Jaquan Washington hadn't acted alone. Jaquan and his brother Christian Washington removed Brianna's lifeless body from the apartment under the cover of darkness.
If I had a crazy ass brother that did something like that, you doing it by yourself. I'm not saying that I'm a snitch or anything, but I'm not about to go to jail for you. I don't know what a real nigga is, but I'm not that real to be in jail for the rest of my life. So sayonara. But you go pop somebody, you do that time yourself. We're not doing it together. No, I am not going to jail. I am not made for it in this life. This life, I am made to be very comfortable living with a woman. I am not made for that life. So you mess around with somewhere and you pop somebody, you're going by yourself. I'm not going. I'll be on that stand and I will point you out. I'm not going to jail.
The footage was enough to raise serious suspicions and implicate both men in what now looked like a calculated cover-up. In response, law enforcement swiftly moved to act. Search warrants were executed on the apartment as well as on any vehicles believed to be involved. During those searches, detectives recovered several key items. While authorities haven't released the full inventory of what was found, they confirmed that the evidence strongly supported the witness statements gathered in the days following Brianna's death. These items played a crucial role in piecing together what happened behind closed doors. By March 28th, just 9 days after Brianna was killed, Detective McCall had built a compelling case. He presented his findings to the Lake County Prosecutor's Office, and murder charges were officially filed against Jaquan Washington for the homicide. A judge promptly signed off on an arrest warrant. Simultaneously, charges were pursued against Christian Washington for his alleged role as an accomplice in the crime. On March 31st, 2025, prosecutors officially charged Christian Washington with assisting a criminal, a level 5 felony under Indiana law, for allegedly helping his brother, Jaquan Washington, avoid arrest. The investigation was moving quickly, but a major complication remained. Jaquan had vanished. By the time the case began to gain traction, he had already fled, likely with help from Christian. Jaquan cut all communication, ignored phone calls, and wiped his social media clean of any ties to Brianna. With a suspected killer on the run, urgency gripped the case. Law enforcement expanded their efforts, issuing bulletins to nearby jurisdictions and sharing Jaquan's name, photo, and description with federal and regional authorities. The U.S. Marshals Service joined the manhunt, while local police departments across Indiana were put on alert. Leads began to surface, but progress was slow until April 22, 2025. After weeks of tracking movements and analyzing tips, authorities finally located 24-year-old Jaquan Washington in the Indianapolis area, nearly 150 miles south of Gary. He was immediately arrested and
How dumb are you to murder someone and try to hide out, but stay in the freaking same state or stay in the same area? You got to be a dumb ass criminal. Dumb to just stay. I'm figuring out how I could get down to Mexico or get up to Canada. I am going somewhere else. But these idiots will kill somebody, and that's the most dumb shit that you could do. But then go hide out. Like, they're going to forget about you. You went 105 miles to Indianapolis just to hide out. You're a fucking idiot. I be trying to figure out how I could get myself on a boat, on a cargo ship, and I'll be gone. I'm disappearing. These locks are gone. These fools are idiots. I'm glad he's in jail. He needs to be in jail for the rest of his life.
taken into custody without incident and temporarily held at a local jail in Indianapolis. Plans were immediately set in motion to extradite him to Lake County, where he would face formal charges in connection with Brianna Howell's murder. The Lake County Prosecutor's Office acted quickly, unsealing the murder charges that had previously been filed under seal while Jaquan Washington remained at large. Now in custody, and with his brother Christian Washington already charged, law enforcement publicly outlined the case they had meticulously built. Jaquan was formally charged with murder, and prosecutors added a firearm enhancement, citing his use of a gun in the commission of the crime. In Indiana, a murder conviction alone can carry decades in prison, but the firearm enhancement could significantly increase that time. If found guilty on all counts, Jaquan faces up to 85 years behind bars. Following his extradition from Indianapolis, Jaquan was booked into the Lake County Jail. He now awaits further court proceedings, including an initial appearance before a Lake County judge to address bail and establish a timeline for trial. Meanwhile, Christian Washington faces one count of assisting a criminal, a serious felony charge alleging that he played a direct role in helping his brother Jaquan evade arrest and potentially conceal evidence related to Brianna Howell's death. According to investigators, Christian is believed to have helped move Brianna's body and may have assisted Jaquan in fleeing the scene. If convicted, Christian could face multiple years in state prison. His case is expected to move forward on a parallel track with Jaquan's, though legal experts note that prosecutors could explore the possibility of offering him a deal in exchange for testimony against his brother. So,
take it. Take the deal. Spending the rest of your life for a crime you did not commit and maybe because you went to a party, wrong place, wrong time, take the deal. Snitch on your brother. That nigga need to be in jail. Yeah, he needs to be in jail. He loved prison. That's what all his friends at. Take the deal. They get, man, hell yeah, I be snitching, and they gave me 1 year. And no, let's jump back in the video.
However, there is no public indication that Christian has cooperated or made any statements to investigators implicating Jaquan. At this time, both men are maintaining their innocence. Authorities have reiterated that all suspects are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, a key principle of the justice system, even as they express strong confidence in the evidence gathered so far. When news of Brianna Howell's tragic death reached her loved ones, they were devastated, overwhelmed with grief, anger, and confusion, struggling to understand how things escalated to this heartbreaking point. Many wondered how someone like Jaquan Washington, with a history of reckless behavior, had been allowed to continue causing harm. As the legal process moves forward, Brianna's family is left to adjust to life without her. A daughter, a sister, a friend, whose light was taken too soon. Their only comfort comes in the hope that justice will be served, and that the man accused of taking her life will be held accountable. Brianna, at her core, simply wanted to love and be loved safely, wholeheartedly. But the relationship she thought was her safe space turned into something dark and destructive. In a cruel twist of fate, the very man she once pleaded for his release became the source of her final moments. The tragic death of 31-year-old Brianna Howell serves as a stark reminder of the devastating impact of betrayal and emotional manipulation. Despite her loyalty and love, Brianna's life was cut short by the very person she once trusted and loved. Let me know what you think.
So we will stop it there because, as you can see, the video is over with. Man, like I was saying a little bit earlier, I would do my time, get me a job. After I get out, stack my money, make sure I'm able to get a passport and leave the country and go start back over on an island or somewhere in Asia. Europe's not going to take somebody that's a criminal. But man, that's crazy. She broke up with him because he was in prison getting it in with women and men, I guess. And she started a new life. And the day he get out of jail, he meet up with her and kill her. And that's the craziest thing that happened. It's just wild. He could have moved on, but he decided to get revenge because he had his feeling hurt. And the crazy other thing is she was 31, he was 24. You usually don't see older women talking to younger guys, and that might be a reason why he just went crazy, because he was young, he wasn't fully developed yet, and he probably would not be fully developed because he loved the street, he loved prison, all his friends are in there. But this was crazy. I'm going to try to keep up with the trial. Hopefully he will get sentenced to life or 85 years in prison, and we will be able to hear the good news, because that's something that's good news. He does not need to be on the streets living a regular life. There's no hope for him, because he could have walked away. He could have not just been in that situation. And for all those people who now said they heard him beating her up, that's even wild. They could have went in and try to break it up, but I guess the reason why they did not, because he had a gun on him, so he was he was triggered anyway. So this story is pretty wild, and RIP to the young lady who lost her life. But that just tells you, if you're in a situation like this, man or woman, and the person is just very hot triggered and they're just putting hands on you, one time should be enough. And just walk away, and just walk away slowly. Figure out how to get away from that person, and just leave. Don't let it keep happening, because it could end up in a way worse situation like this. So I will leave it there. What did you guys think of the video? It was very, very sad to see what happened to the young lady, but hopefully he gets what is coming to him. So I would end it there. Please like, please subscribe, and please leave a comment on what you thought about the video. This was React with Rob, and I am out.